welcome everyone to this month's edition of CloudBytes. We are thrilled to have Christine with us from Vivid Reporting. It's an outstanding solution, and I wanted to just give her a quick warm introduction here. I've worked with Christine for a number of years. We've had multiple clients together on different software solutions that were able to meet a lot of the reporting needs. And to be honest, the one thing I've gotten as feedback from all of them is, we just absolutely love the capabilities of Vivid Reports and how easy it is to use and how much data we can get back out of our system now. So whatever platform you're currently using, Vivid has a solution for you, and I'm excited then to just go ahead and turn this over to Christine so that you don't have to keep hearing me talk and she can get started and jump into the program. So Christine, please take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Philip. Thank you for that lovely introduction. It's been just a real pleasure working with the Dean Dorton team. I'm really happy to be doing this webinar with you guys today. I've got about an hour scheduled. We'll have some time for questions at the end. Quick introduction of myself and my role here at Vivid. So I've been with the company now for about 7 years. My career path has taken me down the Dynamics GP path for a number of years, probably more than I care to share. But, it's all about financial reporting in the end, right? Whether you're using GP or whether you're using Sage Intacct, Vivid Reports can work with all of those ERPs. I'm part of technical sales here at Vivid, but I'm also a report trainer. So I do work very closely with our implementations. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. Once I get the presentation started, I do tend to turn off my camera so that I can watch my monitor as opposed to watching my camera. So I'll just go ahead and do that. I have a handful of slides here that I'll be going through. I tend to go through those fairly quickly so that we can spend most of our time together diving right into the application. So a little bit about the company itself. So we've been around since 1999. So we're a very mature company. We've been doing this a long time. And we are definitely known for our customer service. We've got a lot of customers, but we want to be responsive to our customers and our partners and build long-lasting relationships with our clients and our partners. So I'm going to be focusing today's demo on Vivid CPM. So Vivid CPM CPM stands for Corporate Performance Management. It's all about financial reporting. It's all around your general ledger accounts, your dimensions, your segments, being able to produce very quick and easy financial statements, and then giving you the ability to drill into those results so that you can make informed fiscal decisions. Some of the features that comes with Vivid CPM is what you see here on the screen. So being able to build a reporting tree, being able to build these automation jobs where you can roll out your statements as packages to each of your branch managers, etc. We are 100% Microsoft Excel based, and to me, that's an advantage. The finance team knows Excel very well, right? You know how to build formulas. You know how to make things look pretty with bolding, shading, and boxes. So during our Vivid implementation, we focus 100% of the implementation on integrating your GL balances into a refreshable Excel statement. Having the tool integrated with Excel just gives you far more capabilities as far as integrating charts, graphs, additional, more complex calculations that comes with Excel. Excel is a very powerful tool, and bridging the gap between your statements and Excel, it just streamlines the whole process. When we talk about the implementation, so again, getting back to being an Excel-based solution makes the implementation very easy and very short. So the way our implementation is rolled out, we usually budget about 8 hours of training is what you need to learn the application. All of our training sessions are recorded. You have the ability to download them and watch them again. Keep those recordings on file. They're an excellent training resource if ever you need to train someone new on Vivid reports. As we progress through the implementation, we will perform what we call vividizing your existing statements. So your existing statements might be today in Excel. And they may be manual VLOOKUPs that you have towards a trial balance. You may be copying and pasting something in Excel today, but we want to vividize your statements. In other words, they're fully refreshable, fully automated statements where the only thing you have to do once a month is click a button, pick a month, pick a year, pick a department, pick a company, click refresh, and all of that information comes through automatically. And I also want to mention here, I added a little icon that we integrate with Sage Intacct, and I know Dean Dorton is also a Microsoft Dynamics partner, but we integrate with many accounting systems, including other Sage products. How is Vivid set up? So Vivid is set up as a data warehouse. So it does require SQL Server. Being a Sage Intacct client, you're probably moving away from any kind of on-prem servers. We offer hosting services where we can house that Vivid database for you. Once that data warehouse is set up, we will establish a read-only connection. It's a secure connection to the Sage Intacct data, and we will pull what we need into the data warehouse. We'll pull the GL accounts, transactions, balances into the data warehouse. So when you're refreshing in Excel and you're refreshing a Vivid report, you are refreshing off of the data warehouse. Behind the scenes, there's an ongoing synchronization that occurs between Vivid and Sage Intacct. That's a very quick integration, doesn't take very long. The integration typically completes in less than a minute. You can trigger that integration at any given time. So for example, if you were doing your month-end reports, you made a journal entry, you want to reflect that journal entry immediately on your statements, you can trigger that integration at any given time so that your statements will reflect the information instantaneously. We support a Microsoft Azure environment if Sage Intacct is on-prem or in your own environment and not in the subscription version of Sage Intacct. We support Terminal Server, we support a Citrix Server, etc. One thing to note too is that Vivid performs very, very well. We work with small clients with maybe less than 1,000 GL accounts to very large large clients with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of GL accounts. We work with high volume clients where they may have millions of transactions per month, per year, and Vivid performs very, very well. What's included? What are some of the other features that are included in Vivid CPM? So whether you have one company or 10, 20 companies set up in Sage Intacct, all of those companies can be integrated into Vivid. If you're a multi-international company and you have different currencies and you need to translate those currencies into, for example, US dollars into a consolidated statement, all of that is available within our software. We include other little features like report check and report automation so that you can make sure your reports are balanced every month. And if they don't balance, you can find those differences very quickly. Report automation is, again, building packages, replicating your income statement across your entire reporting tree. You have different departments, you have different cost centers, entities where you want to roll them up and send off these reports. We want to minimize the number of spreadsheets you have to maintain, so report automation is an excellent tool to use to distribute and replicate those reports. Getting back to being a customer-centric company, we do include 8 hours of support every year with our clients. We want you to give us a call. If you have a question on the software, something you may have done a few months ago, like adding a new account, and you forgot how to incorporate that new account into your statements, give us a call. You don't necessarily need to go through a 200-page user manual. Give us a call. We're more than happy to help. Within our Vivid CPM product, we also have an add-on module for budgeting. It is optional. Oftentimes we'll see it's a second phase to an implementation where you'll start with financial reporting, and you may decide to add the budgeting module at a later point in time. It's very easy to do. But the purpose of the budgeting module is current state for a lot of clients is that you have many budget spreadsheets. There's a high probability you're performing your budget tasks within Excel today. You have these massive budget spreadsheets. They're linked one to another, to another, to another. You simply fear having to make any changes to them because they may break. Then you have to take all that information, once it's filled in, consolidate it, total it, and get it back into Sage Intacct to be able to report off of it. Well, Vivid Report's budgeting module is still Excel-based, but we do an excellent job of bridging the gap between capturing those budget values in Excel, consolidating them, and reporting off of them. We push values from your Vivid budget spreadsheets into our data warehouse, and then the rest, Vivid will do the heavy lifting. Other features that are included are like, it's not just an annual budget. You can set up a quarterly forecast. You can set up a multi-year plan. You can set up an unlimited number of what we call budget types. You can distribute a budget based on actuals. You may have some seasonalities. You're busier in the summer versus winter. You want to spread your budget based on those same seasonalities. You can capture budget notes or assumptions, and that will follow, those notes will follow that account number throughout the entire system. And I'll demonstrate all that during momentarily here. When it comes to the cost of Vivid, we will always ask you, how many licenses do you need and what kind of licenses? We have different types of licenses that come at a different cost. Of course, you need a minimum of one builder license. After that, you can roll out viewer licenses. So these are users, think of it as a self-service, where you provide them perhaps an empty spreadsheet. So it's your financial statement, but there are no values, but you give them the ability to refresh and drill down into the activity directly from Excel. Very easy to use, very secure. You can attach security to those Vivid licenses and making sure that they're only seeing what they've been given access to. And I'll get a little more into that during the demo. All right, that's it for slides. I'm going to jump right into the demonstration. So I'm presenting here a blank Excel spreadsheet. There's the Vivid CPM option up here. So it's a small Excel add-in that needs to be installed on the workstation. Once it's installed, you'll be given a Vivid username and password. These usernames and passwords are usually managed by the finance team. We want the finance team to take essentially full ownership of the software, managing the software, who has access, who can see what, etc. So I'm going to go ahead and log in as administrator. So I have access to everything. So you'll see there's the toolbar. The toolbar is set up in different sections. It's nice, it's clear, it's very well organized. You see here, this is the building section of the toolbar. Only report builders have access to that. The budgeting section, only those that have been given access to commit budget values have access to this. And there's the analysis section, which is all the drill down capabilities. So I'm going to go ahead and open up just a very simple financial statement. Nothing super fancy with this, but there are some key components here I want to point out. This sum, regular Excel sum. This is a variance column, regular Excel calculation. Over here, this is all coming from Vivid. Notice that we are not a cell-based reporting solution. In other words, you don't have to manage these big, long formulas in every single individual cell. That, to me, would defeat the purpose of an automated reporting solution. We want to minimize the number of places where you need to touch the cells in order to pull your GL information from. And I'll get into how we build these reports momentarily. I just want to show you what a finished report looks like first. So the first thing I'm going to do when I have a finished report on the screen is I'm going to click this button over here, this control panel button. This is fully customizable. Think of them like parameters. What are some of the prompts or questions you want to ask the end user before refreshing a report? I've got a reporting tree here attached to my report, and this is something that we build during implementation. Usually you'll have a handful of reporting trees, and you can reuse those trees on all of your reports. They are stored centrally. They are typically tied to different dimensions or different segments of your chart of accounts. You can attach security to these trees, so depending on who's logged into Vivid, they may or may not see all of these options. Same report, same Excel spreadsheet you can share with a group of people, but depending on who's logging into Vivid, they may not see all of this entire tree. I'm going to go ahead and click on New York State. I want to run the report for July. Click refresh. Now it's going out to the data warehouse and it's pulling in these totals. Immediately you'll see how these are static numbers. You can share this refreshed report with an unlimited number of recipients. They do not need a Vivid license to see these totals. If you want to give them the ability to refresh, meaning they can pick a different month, different department, different year, different currency, and the ability to drill down, that's when they need a Vivid license. So let's have a look at the drill down functions. I've got a total here of 34,679. Now over here, there's the analysis section. I'm going to click drill down. So there's 34,679. There's 34,679. It's a roll up of these accounts. This information, these GL accounts are coming from Sage Intacct. It's a combination of the account numbers and the dimensions. If I click on any of these accounts, there's the transactions. Again, we're looking at the data warehouse, but the originating source of all of this information is Sage Intacct. So I can see on this plans Syracuse, I have 3,337. There's a mouthful. And there's the three transactions that make up that total. If you want to see all the transactions for all of these accounts, you click on this little button, and now you have all the transactions. I have 27 transactions. You can export this to Excel. If you want to do any kind of reconciliation, any kind of VLOOKUP, you can just export all of that information. And again, we work with high volume customers, and Vivid will still perform very well. I can drill into more information. So if I click on this little button, this is all the information that we pull from Sage Intacct into our data warehouse. You can drill into the journal entry. You can even drill into document images. So if you're using any kind of paperless AP solution like Trailed, that's one we integrate with. I'll show you what that looks like. If I click on this transaction, this is an AP transaction, and I click on this little image, we can connect to the image. We do not store the images in our own database. We simply want to link the transaction from Vivid to wherever the image is stored. Okay. You can also group this information. So if you want to pivot it, if you have a large chart of accounts and you want to see the total based on the natural account, there's the total on the natural account, or you could, if you want to total it based on the location, etc. If you require any kind of consolidations, let me go back to my control panel. And let's say I have two entities. I have company number one, company number two. So in my case, I have United States and a Canadian company. If I click on fully consolidated, it will take information from both of those companies, and providing I have multi-currency turned on, it will consolidate the Canadian company and convert it into US funds if my consolidation is in US funds. And when you click on any of these values, then you click drill down, you can see, I can see the breakdown of the GLs by company by GL account and by amount. And if you click on any of these amounts, you can see I can drill into the transactions from this window. So there's company 1 and company 2. Okay. Other things you can drill into, or other ways you can analyze the data. I just showed you the basic drill down button. Here's some other ones. Let's close that. Drill across, that is your trend analysis. You want to see this particular revenue line item month over month, year over year. Instead of opening up another report, what you can do is click on drill across. You have all that information right at your fingertips. So there's the 194,000. I ran the report for July of 2029. There's the 194,000 for July. This is what I did in June, in May, in April, this year versus last year. I can drill into the transactions directly from this window. I can export it to Excel. I can even flip it to a timeline view. You know, am I trending in the right direction over the last X number of years? I can see I had a huge increase in December of 2028. You can click on that. It'll bring you directly to that value, and you can drill into it. That's your drill across, or what I call your trend analysis. You can also drill into your variances. Drill compare is your variance analysis. So if you can see here, I've got a $13,000 variance. It's highlighted in yellow because I'm using Excel conditional formatting to highlight those that have a variance greater than $3,000. Well, maybe I want to change this to, let's say, $20,000. So now you can see only that one is highlighted. So that's where you're using the benefits and all the cool features that come with Excel, and you're essentially piggybacking those features with your Vivid reports. But getting back to this, you can see here I have a $13,000 variance. This is a consolidated statement. How do I know which location, which department is creating this variance? Okay, I'm just going to refresh this for a different location here. Let's pick New York State. So if I click on, I'm going to click on this 34,000, go to drill compare, and I want to compare it with my budget. So you can see I'm comparing column E, which is my actuals, with column F, which is my budget. There's the breakdown of the variance of each account that is rolled up in that row. I can sort it based on the variance, and I can quickly see that Blueprints New York had a stellar month, and they were $700 over their budgeted, or over their target, whereas Blueprints Buffalo, they didn't have the best month and they came in under budget. But when you click on the actuals, you can see the transactions that supports this information. So again, the purpose of Vivid is building reports that are easily refreshed, that give you insight into your fiscal statements, into your fiscal results, and being able to analyze the data in any which way you'd like. Some of the other sample reports that I can show you that you can build, something like this. Now you can add an Excel chart or graph onto your report. So this is coming from Vivid. This is just a basic Excel statement. So as you refresh this, it'll refresh the chart. And what you can also do is you copy and paste these charts and graphs into a PowerPoint. They will refresh as well in PowerPoint. So as you refresh them in Excel, it's a link. It's a live link to the graph posted in your PowerPoint. It's also going to refresh there. Okay. All right, another sample report I want to show you, and I'll make this a little bit bigger in case it's small. Let's refresh this. So same rows that I used on that first report, just a different column layout, right? This percent column, it's just a basic if statement to avoid the divide by zero. You already know how to do all that, right? If you're using any other kind of reporting tool, sometimes they have their own little syntax. And it's like, well, how is someone supposed to know this, right? It's specific to, to Sage, or it's specific to Dynamics, etc. But with Excel, everybody knows Excel to a certain degree. And if you don't know how to do it, there's a good chance somebody on Google knows how to do it, or we can assist you with that. Okay. But let's dive a little deeper into how did we get here? How do you build these reports? I'm going to unhide these columns. Vivid uses these little red comments. If I click on these comments, they are tied to this section of the toolbar. Only report builders have access to this. I want to know, well, what's included in consulting? I added a new GL account. I need to make sure that account's being included on that row. How do I do that? I'm going to click on Filter Builder up here. So think of Filter Builder like a filing cabinet. In your filing cabinet, you have folders. We call those categories. You may have a category for income statement, a category for balance sheet, category for, OPEX reports, cash flow statement. You're going to categorize and keep Filter Builder pretty organized so that you can see what's configured where. Within my income statement category, these are my filters. Think of those as pages within your file folder. I have 35 filters that are tied to my income statement category. There's consulting. These are all highlighted in yellow immediately when I open the window because my cursor was in the little red comment. As soon as you do that, it pre-populates the window with the configuration of that filter. Over here, here's where I'm telling Vivid, what do I want to include in the consulting filter? I'm saying segment 1, that's S1. Think of it as your account number. It's the first position. Segment 1 is between this number and this number. If I add any accounts within this range, they will automatically be included on the report. So initially, when we're setting up your reports and we're working with you on setting up your reports, we try to encourage you to think big picture. If ever you were to add a new GL account, is it going to be included on this filter? So we can have wide ranges. All of my P&L is 4,000 to 9,999. I'm going to make a change. So if I make a change to this, I'm going to expand this range, and I will also make a change, and I'll put in my name here. Click test. It validates this expression, and it tells me what's going to be included. Now you can get very, very specific in these expressions. You can add wildcards. We call those a like function. You have to add 3 accounts, but they're not in any range. You can do that. You can say, well, I need to add these 3 accounts, but make sure you exclude this department. You can do all kinds of things like that. So we spend our very first training session, like I said, is 2 hours. We're going to spend time in here, get you comfortable with building these filters, get you started working on a report, and then we leave you with what I say, like little homework to complete the setup of these filters. So I've made a change. This is a global change that I've made. Essentially, it's stored on the server. I'm going to go ahead and refresh this report. So if you pay attention to this row, so I made a change to consulting. Click refresh. You can see my name pops up. There's my name, and all of these balances all immediately changed. So I made one change, and it's going to affect all these columns all at once. If I go back to this report, I have not touched this report. I'm simply going to click refresh. You can see how my name popped up, and then there's that balance changed. It happened so fast, but that balance changed. I have everything here in one workbook, but the same thing applies if you had 5 or 6 different files. It's still one central filter stored on the server that's applied to all of your reports. Other ways you can, if you look at this report, so I'm putting all of my locations across the top, same rows. Click refresh, you're going to see my name pop up here. So just different ways you can produce these reports very, very quickly. And again, you can drill down on any of this information. Okay. We have report check functionality. This is really nice. So, a common question I get during implementation is, well, how do I know if my reports are balanced? So right now on this type of report, you have a net profit. It's just an Excel calculation. I would want to add a vivid filter for all of your P&L accounts. So let's say it's something like this. When I refresh that report, I want to make sure that the value that Vivid comes back with matches this value. As long as those values are the same, then you know you're balanced. And of course, this would apply across all these columns. If they don't balance, that's when we would go into the report check functionality to check for missing or duplicate accounts. Very cool. This is a very cool tool. I really enjoy using it during implementations. Automation, again, is another way that we can replicate. So this is your reporting tree. I may want to create one large workbook with all of these tabs. Well, we would recommend set up one master workbook, then use the automation tool to replicate that across your entire reporting tree. Again, very easy to use. You can trigger an email. It can send it off to a group of people. You can set up that, Joe's the New York State branch manager and James the California branch manager. They each get their own sets of reports. You can set up automation jobs that, they get their set of income statements for their branches, and so does the other person in your organization. You can set up lead sheets. This gets auditors really excited when you can literally click a button, click run, and it gives you all the supporting account information. These are all of my Vivid rows. Within each of those Vivid rows shows me the account information and the balances of each of those accounts. So, again, I always say that auditors get really excited over this type of lead sheet. I'm going to pause here and check for questions before I jump into budgeting. Feel free to unmute yourself, or feel free to ask a question in the Q&A section. Let's go ahead. Spreadsheet here.
Thanks, Christine. I was actually just told that some attendees weren't seeing the Q&A in chat. My apologies for that. So those should be showing up for you now. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in there. And again, my apologies.
No worries. Okay. I appear I've made everybody speechless with my features and functionality. I'm going to go with that. Okay. Budgeting. So again, getting back to my introduction, is a lot of companies out there are performing their budget processes within Excel. Excel, again, is a great tool, but for budgeting, that can be challenging, especially if you have a lot of departments, a lot of cost centers. You probably have these massive budget spreadsheets, hard to maintain, hard to make changes, hard to trace, hard to double check, make sure if you total, things like that. With Vivid's budgeting module, we bridge the gap between Excel and budgeting. What you see on the screen here is I would say, common budget input sheet that we see. During the implementation, we focus primarily on the input spreadsheets. So meaning, which spreadsheets do you have where you're totaling or you're capturing a budget value? Because honestly, consolidating and summarizing and reporting off of the budget data is no big deal. It's easy. It's literally a few seconds for us to report off of that data. We want to focus on capturing the budget values. So this budget spreadsheet has a combination of actuals. I have a 3-month forecast, and I have an annual budget. These actuals, of course, you'd be using Vivid's budgeting financial reporting module To start using the budgeting module, you do need to go through the financial reporting training first. So this information is all refreshable, it's drillable, it's all automated. I've used the color yellow, I just chose the color yellow to highlight the areas that I want budget managers to fill in. So I'm going to focus on the annual budget, but do note that the forecast is treated exactly the same way as an annual budget. You can preload a forecast with actuals. You can copy last year's budget into this year. You can lock down a forecast or a budget to make sure no further changes are made to it. I'm going to just go ahead here and I'll make this a little bit bigger in case it's small. So I'm on my, this is New York City budget spreadsheet. There's my annual budget amount for next year. I've clicked on this cell. Very simply, you can start by simply filling in the value. These can be calculations if you want. They can also be, you can link them to another spreadsheet. Vivid honestly doesn't care how you come up with this number. Once this number is filled in, and I'm on my consulting row for New York City, I'm a budget manager, or I'm part of the finance team. I've been given a budget license. Please note that not all budget managers need a Vivid license. Most of the time, what we see is that the finance team will have all the licenses they need, including budgeting. They will prepare the budget spreadsheets, then they'll send them off to the budget managers, ask them to fill it in. Budget managers don't necessarily need to have any Vivid license. They will fill in the values in the Excel sheets, send it back to the finance team. The finance team will review it, and they will be ultimately responsible to commit the budget values. So I'm going to go ahead and click this commit button. What it does is it validates what you've entered, and it tells you if it's successful, if it's passed all the validation. It's going to check if the budget's open, does the GL account exist, and do you have access to it? Now it's telling me here that I have one budget cell ready to be committed. I click on review. It's going to save $2,500 to this GL account, to this fiscal year, to this period. And I'm going to say commit. Now I've pushed that value into the database. I can go ahead and attach notes to that budget value. So you can enter the notes over here on the far right. I've got here notes with Dean and Dorton group. That's going to get saved into the Vivid database as well. 6 months down the road, when you're looking at a completely different report and you're drilling into the budget column, you get to this account, you're going to see the notes that you entered at the time of your budget season. We also track all changes that have been made to the budget. So if I go in here and I change it now to 4,800, let's commit it. I'll click on that value, click audit. You can see that I originally saved it as 2,500, and then a minute later, I changed it to 4,800, and it came from this spreadsheet. Right. The other thing you can do is you can use our distributor. Our distributor is a great way to quickly populate your budgets based on certain trends or criteria. So let's open that up. So I'll open up the distributor. I'm on my New York City surveying line items because that's where my cursor is, right here. I'm showing budgets, I'm showing forecasts, and I'm showing the actuals. You can click on any of these actuals and drill into the transactions directly from this window. I'm going to go ahead on my budget row and put in a $2,400 annual amount. It does an even distribution, $200 a month. Let's click on graph here. Down below here, there's the flat $200 a month. This line here are my actuals. Perhaps I want to spread my annual budget based on these actuals. So if I click this drop down, click on actuals, click the little calculator, you can see it's recalculated my budget based on those same trends. And then I can see, well, you know, my budget might be a little bit low. I want to increase it by 8%. Click the little calculator. You can see now I'm more in line. I'm good with these values. I'll click apply and see back here, it's applied those values. Click the down arrow, and now I'm on my next row. And now I'm on freight revenue, and I'll go ahead and just put $12,000 for the year. So you can see I've started to populate my budget. I'm going to go ahead and commit this. I want to do the exact same thing for a different location or a different department. If you didn't have Vivid's budgeting module, there'd be a lot of copying and pasting and linking and this and that. With Vivid, all you need to do is click the control panel, click this drop-down list, and I'm going to switch it. Instead of New York City, let's pick Buffalo. Click refresh. Now all the actuals are refreshed for Buffalo. I'm going to quickly go in here, enter a few values, and commit it. Done. Now you want to see a summary. How do I consolidate all this information? Again, if you didn't have Vivid, you'd be linking a lot of spreadsheets, a lot of totaling, things like that. With Vivid, I'm just going to say, no, show me the total. So New York City or New York State is a roll-up of Syracuse, Buffalo, and New York City. So I'm going to click on New York State, click refresh, click on this value, click drill down, and you can see there's the 4,800 that I entered for New York City. There's Buffalo for $1,200. And if I hover over this little flag, you can see there's my assumptions or my notes that I entered specifically for New York City. So that's what I mean, that consolidations are seamless. You can go on your income statement, pull up a different report, add the next year's budget column. It's going to consolidate everything that I've just committed automatically. I'm just quickly checking the questions here, and I do see a question on, can you drill on the formula totals? Yes, you can. We do have now, let me just double check. I don't know if that's been activated yet for this particular row. It's a new feature that we just released. And unfortunately, my demo environment has not been updated, but our new feature is the ability to drill into these totals. So this is a sum. You can see here that this is a sum. And yes, you can drill into this value. I apologize that my environment at the moment does not have that feature activated, but it does. It is available to all of our new clients. Okay, so let's go back into my budget spreadsheet. So we talked about inputting the budget, committing the budgets at the detailed level. Consolidations are seamless. There's one last feature I want to show you, and that's what we call budget transactions. So let's say you have something like a travel budget or marketing budget. You want to list off which trips you're planning in which months or which marketing campaigns you're going to be triggering. I have one in February, one in April, and one in September. And these are the costs for each. We call those budget transactions. So I have a separate spreadsheet here. And I have, actually, I'll just show you here. There's my commercial construction revenue line item. My demo environment is all in construction. I'm asking my sales manager, well, what deals are you anticipating closing, or what projects are you anticipating winning in the next year? There's this, you can create this type of spreadsheet where there's your commercial construction revenue line item. There's the actuals. And then over here, these are the transactions. Okay. I want him or her to list off which projects they're anticipating closing. So I am bidding on building a new school. It's at, 55 Main Street. And it's going to kick off. There's my budget section over here. It's going to kick off in January, continues in February, and it's going to wrap up in March. And then I have another one. I'm going to renovate. Let's say I'm bidding on a small job. It's a library renovation. Oops. And it's at, 87 4th Street. And that's a small project that's going to be just in January. So you can see these are the grand totals over here, but I do want to capture this detail as well. So I'm going to commit that. When I commit it, it's committing both the budget values, the totals, as well as the transactions. If I commit that, let's go back to this spreadsheet. If you look at this row, there's my commercial construction row. Notice how it's not in yellow. It's gray because I've turned off the ability to commit values on this row. That row is only there for refreshing purposes. So if I click refresh now, you can see that it's going to bring over the latest totals that I committed. If I click on this value and click drill down, click on that account number, you can see there's the detailed transactional information that I tied into my budget input sheet. So that's essentially what I wanted to cover today. I did want to leave some time here at the end in case there was any other questions, in case you wanted me to go into detail into anything else. I'm just going to double check here and see if there's any questions.
There is one in the chat. Christy wanted to know, can you do the graphs with the budget data, same as Vivid?
Yep, absolutely. For sure you can. So when you're building charts and graphs with Excel or with Vivid, so normally in Vivid, what you see here is on the rows, you have like your revenue accounts, and then you have your expenses, and then you have your net income. When it comes to charts and graphs, typically people will want to see trends based on a timeline. So instead of having a typical income statement where you have income, revenue, and expenses and your net margins or your net profit, we're going to flip that. You would put like period 1, period 2, etc., going down this way. And then you can build. So what do you want to see? So you can build a formula or a control panel that'll manage the year and the type. So you may want to see a chart for perhaps the net income, or a chart for total sales, or a chart for expenses. So this information is going to get refreshed by Vivid, and then you insert your chart, any of these charts, and you tie it to this information. So as this gets refreshed, this chart over here is also going to get refreshed. So it's just a matter of working together with our clients to see, well, what kind of charts and graphs are you looking for? These are just some examples that we can help build you and walk you through it. But after that, it's really limitless. You can do all kinds of really cool charts and graphs. So if I go back to, let me go back to that my sample report here. And I had a chart and graph. You can see something like this. This is a sample. Come on. Oh, there we go. So, this is a sample graph where you have all the months going across, and you want to show the comparison between your sales and your expenses. So again, just another sample. Some of the other things that I'll show you another sample chart. Something like this, where you have all of your locations and the profitability or the sales for each of your locations. Excel has unbelievably powerful charts and graphs, built in right within the software. And there's oodles and oodles of information out there. I've actually taken a class with one particular online charts and graph course. It's very, very good. If ever anybody's interested, I'd be happy to share contact information there. And it was very cost effective. So I have another question here. It says, what is the cost of a license? So, there are different components to the price of Vivid. It really depends on what you need and how many licenses you need. Our price list is very a la carte. It's an annual subscription. Usually I'll tell folks, just as a starting point, the annual subscription starts at about $5,500 per year. But again, depending on if you need 2 builders, 5 viewers, do you want budgeting? Do you not want to include budgeting? We work that together with you. I do see another question here. Will Vivid also pull in statistical accounts to use in graphs if they are set up in Sage Intacct? Yes, absolutely. We do integrate with statistical accounts. We treat statistical accounts the same way as we treat regular GL accounts. So yes, you can pull in that information. And Christy, I appreciate your comment there. I can see here that, yes, Christy is one of our existing Vivid users and just gave us some lovely comments there in the chat, and she finds it very easy to use. And, I have a biased opinion because I do work for the company, but that is one of the reasons why I work for the company, is that I love the product. It is very easy to use. Again, my role here at Vivid is part of implementation, which I have worked with a number of the Dean Dorton clients on their implementations. And, I kid you not that you can be up and running with Vivid with a completed report in as little as 2 weeks. Any other questions?
We've got a couple more coming through.
Yeah. I do see those. So do you have a Canadian office billing in Canadian funds? Yes, we do. We do have a Canadian office and billing in Canadian funds. I'd be happy to have that conversation with you after the webinar if you'd like. And I do see a comment here again from Christy so Christy is again one of our existing clients. She's using Vivid with Business Central, which what I've presented today and the features and the functionality, whether you're using Vivid with Business Central or you're using it with Sage Intacct, it's exactly the same. There is no difference. I don't know if there's any Dynamics GP users on the webinar today, but if you're considering moving away from GP, there's been all kinds of announcements. And if you're thinking of moving to something like Business Central or Sage Intacct, you can implement Vivid on something like Dynamics GP. And if or when you move to Sage Intacct or Business Central, Vivid is completely transferable. So in other words, all of the data in the data warehouse while you're using Vivid with, let's say, Dynamics GP, we can disconnect the integration from GP and connect it to Sage Intacct. All of that historical data that was tied to GP data follows you. So what that means is long after your Dynamics GP server is disconnected or turned off, you'll still be able to refresh those historical reports, even after your implementation of Sage Intacct or Business Central is complete. You'll have the option to refresh those GP reports because they are housed in the data warehouse.
All right, I'll do one last call for questions. So we've got about 4 minutes left, so plenty of time.
Great questions, everybody. Appreciate that.
All right, Christine, I think you answered them all. We will have Christine's contact information as well as Philip's in the follow-up email that everybody will get. So if you want to get more information, you absolutely can. Philip, would you like to make any last notes on how to get in touch if we need more info?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So thank you, Christine, for a great presentation. As always, it's good to see the product and good to see you. If you have any questions on it, just reach out to us. We're more than happy to make an introduction over to Christine. You can reach out to Christine directly. Of course, she's got her information right there, but always feel free to reach out through us as well, and we'll help coordinate everything. So.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Philip and the Dean Dorton team. I really appreciate it and always enjoy working with you guys.
Same here. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Have a great rest of your
Bye.
day.